Yeah, it's so great the way Zoom is constantly rotating their user interface around. So it makes it kind of fun to try and find that where the controls are. So every meeting's a journey of discovery. So um, welcome everybody to the January meeting of the Sunnyvale Democratic Club. I'm Mike Cerrone, your president. So today on our agenda, we have, we'll start with a couple of announcements, but then we will hear from David Newswanger on following up on an excellent op-ed he wrote for the Mercury News. We'll hear about ranked choice voting specifically as applies to special elections like the one we just had recently for county assessor. And then we will hear from Himanshu Sethi about retail, subject we've talked about before at the meetings, retail in North Sunnyvale. And then we'll go to, we'll hear from Martin Pyne about kind of this is an election year, so we'll hear about the timeline of elections this year, and which really follows into then we'll discuss ideas for meetings and priorities, see what's of interest to the members, and we have a whiteboard we'll be throwing ideas on and discussing, different priorities. So it should be an interesting meeting, an interactive meeting. We, as you hopefully no one is showing up at El Dorado, but we were not able to get the El Dorado Clubhouse for this meeting. So that's why we're meeting on Zoom. The next meeting, which would normally be on, I think, the 21st, conflicts with the some state Democratic endorsement convention. So we are moving that meeting to February 28th. And a week later, and that will be at El Dorado in person and on Zoom. So I want to shout out everybody who was at the New Kings protest last week. The very short notice protest focusing on the shooting in Minneapolis and Venezuela. We have to combine major topics for these rallies now because so many things happen at once. And so I was frankly surprised at how many people showed up given the short notice. And there were a lot of people there in Sunnyvale, and some of the people on here now were there. So thank you for coming out for that. Crystal was there, and Sandy, I saw you across the street from us, and so it was, it was great seeing enthusiastic turnout for that. So, are there any other announcements that we want to touch on before we move to our first agenda item? Anything I missed?
Can I chime in quickly?
Yeah.
Tim, I got a petition for Rokana, so for a petition in lieu of filing fee. If any of you would like to sign that, if you haven't signed it already, send me an email. I'll come biking to your house with the petition. Thank you.
Right, and I'm sure we will have similar requests from Patrick Aarons and Sally Lieber, which are two I've already signed.
I just came from Patrick Aaron's signing party here. Yeah.
I think we've got a while till what's the window for submitting those?
For Ro Khanna, the cutoff is February 4th. It's coming up really fast.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got a very short window. So yeah, let me know ASAP and I'll come and drop by. Thanks.
I have a question. This
Sure.
is Susan. I'm new. Thought I heard that Ro Khanna is supporting, he's throwing his support behind the multi-billionaire Steyer for governor. Is that true?
I don't know about that. Longer
I'm not
discussion.
aware of that. I'd be a little surprised, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be very
Okay.
surprised.
Yeah,
Okay.
for a number of reasons, and it's very early.
Yeah, me too. I'll see if I can't track that down and figure out where I saw that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he focuses on small money, so he's not taking big donations, just little ones from a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, I'll look into it. Okay, thank you.
All right, well, let's go to our first agenda item. I think we all know our board member, David Newswanger, who has previously given us presentations on ranked choice voting. But then specifically, of course, there's the general application for it, but we just had an election that was very expensive for a county assessor, and which could have been avoided. And David wrote an excellent op-ed in the Mercury News recently talking about that. So let's see, David, do you have a presentation?
No, nothing to share
Okay.
online. I was just going to talk.
Okay.
Ready
Yeah,
to start?
go ahead. Yeah.
I put a link in the chat that I hope you'll use to write a letter to your supervisors, asking them to use ranked choice voting in special elections in the future. I'm going to start by just sort of summarizing the article because I presume most people or some people didn't read it. And then we'll talk about specifics for certain special elections. And then we might talk about the governor's election as well. So we all know, I think, that the federal government cut funding to the state cut funding to the county, and the Santa Clara County has a budget crisis of about $1 billion annually. Measure A helps, but we still have to do more with less. In spite of all this, we spent millions of dollars on 2 elections to fill the empty assessor's seat. The estimate for that was $26.2 million cost. Fortunately for the county, the state had Prop 50 on the ballot, and they paid the lion's share of the cost of that first election. But we were still stuck with the cost of the runoff, about $13.1 million. Also, voter participation in special elections is always low. But December 30th was a terrible day for a runoff during the holidays, and turned out to be 20.6%. This was avoidable if we had been using ranked choice voting. So very briefly, my ranked choice voting is different in that instead of voting for one person, you rank candidates first, second, and third choice, etc. If nobody gets more than 50% vote, then an instant runoff is done. And we use the rankings in that process. So if you voted for Brian Doe as your first choice and Mesa Flagor as your second choice, we know that Brian Doe got the least votes. He would have been eliminated, and your ballot would have flowed to your second choice, who would have been Mesa, and it would stay with her for the rest of the runoff. So this ensures that a candidate with the most support wins without requiring an expensive runoff just a couple of months later. For off-cycle elections, special elections, ranked choice voting is a more responsible use of public money. The equipment is in place already, the voting machines. State law allows it, and county voters have already approved it 27 years ago with Measure F. It would require some voter education. There's an estimated one-time cost to the county of $4.1 million to implement. This is from the Registrar of Voters in April last year. About 2.8 million would be for voter education, about 1.3 for other stuff like software, and that would be ongoing. Those would be ongoing costs if we used it for other elections as well. This $4 million is modest when you compare it to the 13 million cost of a runoff election, especially in the holiday season when voters are not paying attention to it. So it's hard to justify spending millions on an avoidable special election at a time when we're cutting resources for basic services. Special elections are fairly common. The city of San Jose had 3 unexpected city council vacancies recently. Sunnyvale, I think the last freestanding special election was in 2016 when Larry Klein was elected to seat 4. So it's been a while, but with the governor's race opening up, additional vacancies could occur if county officials run for higher office. So ranked choice voting is a practical way to prepare for vacancies that are bound to occur without wasting money. In my view, we should not accept a system that costs more and engages fewer people. So reading from parts of the letter, adopting ranked choice voting for special elections is a targeted, fiscally responsible action that can be taken now to save millions of dollars in future special elections costs. Santa Clara County has the authority, the technology is ready. The Board of Supervisors should adopt ranked choice voting for special elections before we find ourselves sleepwalking into another costly, low participation runoff. So that's a summary of the letter. What Mike wanted to talk about was which elections should be decided by ranked choice voting. I mean, in my view, all of them, because of the advantages of ranked choice voting. It avoids the low turnout primary or a low turnout runoff. It eliminates vote splitting. It's more fair because of that. It discourages negative campaigning, encourages non-traditional candidates, etc. Special elections, specifically, are elections that occur outside of the usual cycle. Now, sometimes they're urgent legislation, so a ballot measure. Sometimes it's for vacancies, often it's for vacancies. So resignations, death, removal from office, etc. In Santa Clara County, replacing a vacancy requires a runoff style election. So these elections can occur at any time during the year. They may or may not coincide with other elections. If they occur at an irregular time between regularly scheduled elections, we call it a freestanding special election. Then it's really advantageous to use ranked choice voting to avoid the runoff. So you'd save money, you have high voter turnout, etc. Sometimes it might occur at the same time as a primary election, so the June election. Theoretically, a runoff could occur then in the November election and you'd save money. But the county charter in Santa Clara requires the runoff to be within 56 days. So the runoff would be in August. It would not be, it would not be applicable without a charter amendment. However, if you could hold a runoff in November, then ranked choice voting would not save money. It would eliminate the low turnout primary, but it wouldn't have the financial benefit. And then lastly, sometimes a special election occurs at the same time as a general election, the November election. In that case, ranked choice voting would be helpful because you would avoid the runoff, the costs, excuse me, etc. So what about for regular, just ordinary elections? We're assuming an election with a primary and then a runoff. If you can use ranked choice voting to eliminate one of the elections completely, then ranked choice voting would save money and give you higher voter turnout. But if you cannot eliminate one of the elections, and sadly that's the case in Santa Clara County, then the answer is different. So in Santa Clara County, even if we eliminate our primary election, we still have to run the primaries for the state. And so the cost would not be significantly different. In my view, ranked choice voting is still the best because of the higher turnout and the other advantages of ranked choice voting, but it would not save us any money. Okay, and then
Question?
yes, please ask.
So what are the drawbacks of ranked choice voting? Why don't we have it?
Huh. Well, I wasn't really prepared to talk about that, but there's a lot of things people talk about. One is cost. It costs a little bit more. In my view, it is clearly worth it. The biggest thing people complain about is voter confusion, that some people do not understand how to do ranked choice voting, and it disenfranchises them. That has been shown not to be the case in multiple studies, and yet it's still cited by opponents.
Would you need to know about the candidates in order for you to rank them?
You do need to know about the candidates in order to rank them. You don't have to rank all of them. You can rank just your top 3, or if there's 10 people on the ballot, you can rank a smaller number.
So I think there might, we've seen some pushback or reticence to implement ranked choice voting across the board, but implementing it for special elections where there's a clear financial benefit, might be a good test case it certainly is a case where, it makes much better sense and would potentially be a test case for more widely deploying it if we had done it in this last election, avoided the runoff, and we might have, and the sky didn't fall, there might be more acceptance later on. Now the number of candidates is relevant, right? Is it possible to implement ranked choice voting contingent upon the number of candidates? Obviously, if there's 2 candidates, it doesn't make sense, but you don't know that until after the filing. Do you have to decide the configuration of the election before people even file?
I don't think so, but even if you had 1 or 2 candidates, you could run the election, just have people rank. It wouldn't make any difference in that case. But really, I think you could just do it without.
I see Charlene has her hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, thanks. Thanks, David. I just had a couple questions. Why, in this last special election, 50% majority was required to avoid the runoff? And is that just a general rule just for special elections or general elections as well?
In the county, that rule applies to general elections and for special elections. So in the primary election here, we also vote for, let's say, assessor or supervisor. If that supervisor does not, if nobody in that race gets more than 50%, even though it's a general election, it's held at the primary, then it goes to a runoff, which is held at the same time as the general.
So how come you're focusing on special elections then? Like, why does it benefit special elections more than general elections?
Because in this case, we significantly decrease cost because we can eliminate one of the elections. In this case, we would eliminate the runoff election. That means no voting centers, no ballots to print.
Right, but in a general election, is a runoff cheaper?
In a general election, the runoff is held. The terminology is very frustrating. If you have a primary followed by a general that's held in November, you have to run that November election anyway because the state has elections. You can't eliminate that election completely. So you still have voting centers, you still have ballots to print, you still have mailings to send to voters. And so overall, the cost of the election is not significantly reduced. Whereas in a special election, there is no state or other county election to run, so we can save a lot of money.
Okay, I get it. Thanks.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
I was just going to comment a little bit about how ranked choice voting would help in the governor's race as well. This is another special situation, in my opinion. As you know, we have a jungle primary where voters from all parties vote for whoever they want from any party, and the top two advance to the runoff. In California, we have about 45% of voters are Democrats, 25% Republicans, 22% independents, many of whom vote for Democrats. The June primary, the voters are lower in number, more partisan, less diverse, and the results may not best represent the will of the people. This coming year, we have 10 candidates, 8 Democrats and 2 Republicans. It's possible that the Democratic candidates will split the Democratic vote in the primary, and the 2 Republicans will gain both runoff seats, leaving 0 Democrats on the ballot. This is not a good election system design. Typically the so-called kingmakers in the party will, may have to clear the field. They'll tell some candidates not to run. But many Democrats are worried about this. In fact, there's been several articles published. One of them was on the same page as my letter in the Sun, not Sunnyvale Sun. So ranked choice voting would eliminate this possible outcome, but the large number of candidates on the ranked choice ballot might discourage some voters. And that comes back to your question, Mike, about the number of candidates. So the proposal for the governor's race, I wouldn't propose this for Sunnyvale, but the proposal for the governor's race is to have a top 5 primary and then use ranked choice voting in November. This would be similar to what Alaska does, but we would have top 5 instead of top 4. It solves the too many people on the November ballot problem and has the other advantages of ranked choice voting, but it would not eliminate the runoff part of the election, so it would not decrease cost. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. That was all I had to say. I do encourage people to use the link that I sent, put in the chat, to send a letter to your supervisors asking them to use ranked choice voting in future special elections. And I'm sorry, I'll take any other questions now.
Yeah, I don't see any other hands, and
Well,
we should probably move to the next item anyway.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry, I do have a comment. I can't figure out how to raise my hand. This is Susan again. I can see a way that the second choice person wins overall with ranked choice voting. And I'm still not 100% on board with it, because it's very scary to me that if, like, say, if we take Nisa's election, what if her opposition were the second person in the primary election? He would have won because he had like 32 and she had 36. So if everybody who had chosen him as the second, he would have outranked her and won the election. That's my only concern. And then another point on ranked choice voting, I'm a little unhappy with the National Democratic Party as it is, in that we let so many people run. We need to get on board with consolidating our people down to a few, you know, like the old time Republicans. They said, this is our nominee, here he is, boom, done. The 8 people is ridiculous. The 6 of the 8 need to decide to do what's best for the party and the government and throw their support behind the person who can really win. That's just me. I'm not throwing out ranked choice voting. I just need to look a little bit more into it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Susan, and thanks, David. Yeah, I'm sure we'll come back to this, but I thought it was timely to, while the special election and the bill for it are fresh in our minds, to revisit this. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more on this, and not to dive into it now, but you know, Sunnyvale's, for example, mayoral election, which is not this year, but there is no runoff, and if we have 10 candidates, which we've never had, but you know, you could elect a mayor with a very small percentage of the population. So
Right.
who would not necessarily be the preference of most of the people, right? So there's something to keep in mind. All right,
And
well,
can I just also comment? I don't understand the point you were trying to make about people voting for second choice and the second choice winning. It doesn't ring true to me. So would you email me and explain what you're thinking to me? We can talk about it. Thanks.
Me, Susan?
Yes. Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
Susan. Yes.
But it's probably on me that I don't understand how ranked choice voting works. But I will definitely email you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
all right, let's move to our next topic, which we've touched on in future meetings. You know, there are some housing developments going into village centers in North Sunnyvale, which will greatly reduce the availability of retail there. And before I try and explain it any more, let me introduce Himanshu Sethi, and let me highlight you too.
Yeah.
If I can find
Hi,
you.
everybody.
There you are.
Okay, great. Thanks for this opportunity.
Okay.
I think I've can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think I've spoken before, but just to kind of bring folks up to speed again as to where we are and what we've done. And folks who haven't joined before, I wanted to kind of just give a little bit of refresher as to what we're doing. So this is basically about North Sunnyvale. This is about North Sunnyvale, you know, being at risk of losing 2 major neighborhood centers, retail centers, and they are Fair Oaks Plaza, Village Center 5, that now has a townhome, basically an application for 81 townhomes. The second was Lakewood Plaza on Lawrence Avenue, Lawrence Expressway. It's 101 townhomes in the application. And these centers currently serve more than 15,000 residents. And for many of the seniors and families and lower income residents, they provide, you know, essentially walkable access to the services that are really critical. And also, of course, they support small businesses. And they have done so for decades, right? So the North Sunnyvale we're talking about has 2 retail centers, Fair Oaks Plaza, Village Center 5, where you know the major grocery store is Taj Mahal Fresh Market, and then the second one, of course, at Lakewood Plaza is New Wing Yuan Supermarket. And these centers currently are actually neighborhood hubs. They have more than 10 stores, including one large grocery store that I just talked about, and each of them serve more than 15,000 residents. So this is actually a livable Sunnyvale, you know, image that I'm kind of showing over here. This is from Chuck, where he basically talked about the grocery stores that are north of the Caltrain tracks in North Sunnyvale, that are that we have existing compared to the south of Caltrain, and you can see that the major difference between the two. And the two major ones, which are Yuan Market and Taj Mahal, which are about 15,000 square feet each, are being lost, right? So the other ones that are remaining behind are Lucky and Grocery Outlet are the bigger ones, and Costco. I don't consider Costco to be accessible by everybody, so I don't consider Costco in the list. But the other ones are fairly small, right? Compared to the other south of Caltrain, where you have a lot more accessible grocery stores. So what this will do is it'll create in North Sunnyvale, when these plazas are replaced by housing-heavy projects, it'll end up creating a food desert, especially cutting off access to fresh food, affordable food, and this is for many thousands of folks. It'll disproportionately harm the lower income folks here, elderly as well, and folks that don't have cars. It will displace minority and immigrant-owned businesses that actually currently serve these vital community anchors. And as we know, I think it'll weaken the fabric of this diverse working class neighborhood. We live here ourselves as well. So this isn't just about a set of buildings. It is literally about access and equity and public health, right? So, like I mentioned before, seniors and lower income residents without reliable transportation are the ones who are affected first, and they're affected most severely, right? And when these grocery stores disappear, this impact is not shared evenly, right? So, I mean, this is a family that's walking across to Taj Mahal grocery store, and you can see, we do have seniors and minorities also kind of going. A lot of these folks don't have access. A lot of them are seniors. And so how do we get here? Why are we in such a predicament at this time? So I think the state law SB 330 has limited the city's ability to require retail, and the Sunnyvale, just to be honest, I think didn't adopt these objective zoning standards in time. So before this housing project came along, the zoning standards weren't set. So essentially, that created a problem for any existing applications, and where currently the SB 330 doesn't have any requirement for any kind of retail whatsoever. So the original vision for these village centers, which was for mixed-use neighborhood serving developments, was effectively sidelined because of this SB 330 and because we didn't have objective zoning standards in time. And then why is VC5? Why are they urgent, right? So they both, like I mentioned, deepen inequity, and they're detrimental to nearby communities that rely on these centers. So our position as part of the North Sunnyvale group, we're about we have a WhatsApp group of about 100 folks here that do this. So we support housing. We're advocating for fair and balanced planning. We are okay with new housing. There actually has been over 3,000 new homes built in the last 10 years within the vicinity of 1 mile of Fair Oaks Plaza. But we're saying equity means ensuring that development doesn't worsen existing disparities in access. And transit, again, I want to mention, look, transit is coming, and we're okay with transit, but it is not the solution, right? Asking residents who already to travel farther for groceries doesn't solve the problem, and it only shifts the burden onto families who already face limits on time, money, energy, and mobility. So I know that this is going to be coming. This is something that the city is going to talk about, and we're okay with transit, but that is not the solution here, right? So that's really critical for us to understand. And then I think, so the community has responded. We have a petition that's gathered close to 3,100 signatures. That's a lot. We were hoping for just 500. We have 3,100 signatures. The majority of these signatures are local. We've gotten media coverage in Dunia News that happened in February. San Jose Mercury News over here. We've gotten Deanna Gonzalez over here on the bottom, who's been highlighted in KPIX TV on CBS News Bay Area on 5:30 News by reporter Max Darrow. So we've gotten some media coverage, right? But the problem still remains, right? So we've also had residents who've spoken in city council meetings. We've had over 100 residents speak, but our message has been consistent. We want to protect the grocery store access, and we want to protect the neighborhood serving retail, right? This is really critical. We don't want to lose these because, again, This is in a part of Sunnyvale that is already suffering as it is, right? And this is a part of Sunnyvale that's ignored, to be frank. What have we done? What additionally we have done also is we've engaged with Assembly Member Patrick Aarons. We've helped draft legislation that would essentially help prevent these food deserts by protecting large grocery stores in underserved areas like ours. And this reflects the broader understanding that food access is a local and structural issue. And so this essentially can give the cities some tools to help protect these essential services. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail because I think it's something that Mike has suggested I go into as to what this legislation itself is. So the proposed legislation, which is still being drafted and amended with Patrick Aaron's office, it is called the Food Affordability Act. It is a draft bill that is designed to eliminate food deserts by funding grocery stores and protecting existing grocery infrastructure. It remains in effect till January 2031. So the key definitions that I would like folks to understand: a food desert is a census tract that is both low income, which is above poverty rate above 20%, or median income of less than 80% of the state or metro average, and low access, right? So, this here, we're saying that residents live more than half a mile from a store in urban areas or 10 miles in rural areas. So this is not just for North Sunnyvale, this is across the state. And this is an issue that's been plaguing the state since SB 330 was passed. For a large grocery store, we're working with Patrick Aaron to define it as a retail store that has more than 15,000 square feet, and a small that is less than 15,000 square feet. So the proposed legislations and the key provisions of this proposed legislations include that it establishes a grant program that establishes the food desert elimination program to give money to operators, grocery store operators and developers for studies and equipment, rent, and employee salaries. It prevents closures by allowing grants to be used to keep at risk large grocery stores from closing in low-income neighborhoods. It adds development restrictions by saying that local governments must ensure new development projects in food deserts do not reduce the area's capacity for large grocery stores, such as removing loading docks or infrastructure for refrigeration. And I think if a developer removes grocery store access and capacity, they must provide equivalent space or pay a fee into the state fund to build a replacement store nearby, right? So these are some things that the group itself added. And I think funding, of course, for this creates a state fund that can accept state, federal, and private money to support these initiatives. So this is the Food Affordability Act. So where do things stand now? The projects have not yet been approved by the Planning Commission or the City Council. The updated application has proposed retail space at Village Center 5 of approximately 18,000 square feet. So initially it was at 2.5%. And this requirement is still it's significantly low. Like this 18,000 is very minuscule compared to what exists there now. Right. So I think just the Taj Mahal grocery store on its own is 27,000 square feet. And I think some of this 18,000 square feet is already being covered by Speedy Sacos and the space above it. So that leaves approximately 8,000 to 9,000 square feet, maybe less, for a grocery store, right? So that is, and not even sure if that's actually going to happen because there's no requirement that the city is asking for a grocery store to be put in. And that includes infrastructure to be built for a grocery store to be accommodated, including refrigeration or loading docks. So that is not in any of this discussion that the city is having, and the city is basically saying that we can't force a developer to do that, right? So, but again, there is still time for all of us to influence this outcome. Our voices remain critical, and we're asking residents to speak out at city council meetings, planning commission meetings to preserve this access. Like I said, this is about fairness, equity, and access. And North Sunnyvale does deserve the same development that South Sunnyvale has, and it is important for us to do this because it does protect the daily necessities for this area. And if we don't, the decisions will essentially impact the health and stability of this community for years to come in a negative way. So we ask for your support, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and the North Sunnyvale group. If you have any questions or actually any suggestions, that would be great as well. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Have you had any discussions with Aisha Wahab, our state senator?
We have tried to speak with Aisha Wahab, and I think she's asked us to speak with Patrick Aarons, who's local.
Yeah, and Patrick actually lives in that neighborhood, so in North Sunnyvale neighborhood.
Correct.
The um, I was going to mention that the increase in retail from what 2% to 10% came, I presume, it as a result of a program the city came up with where they allow developers to defer the required affordable housing, below market rate housing component in return for if they increase retail. So that that was kind of a creative thing the city came up with, attempting to address this on some level. Let's see.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Gail has her hand up.
Hi, this is Gail. I guess I'm going to be the sad Gail today. There's not much you can do about these developments. And any legislation that passes will not apply to these developments, because when a developer submits plans, it's the law that happens when it's submitted. So you can't go backwards in the United States on laws, unless you're President Trump. So I think this is one of those cases where we didn't have enough impact on the city to create objective standards starting 2021. It's actually when Richard ran. And the city sat on this for many years. And unfortunately, we could not move the city to do objective standards. So unfortunately, unless you can persuade the developers to change their plans, you're sort of sunk on this stuff. I think the city last straw actually came up with a good plan that Michael suggested, which is to allow them to not build as much affordable housing, and then expand the retail. But you can shout as much as you want on this, but it's really the city that screwed up on this by not having objective standards. And thanks.
No, we agree with you. I think, the city did screw up here. I think there's no debate there. But I think at the end of the day, this does impact North Sunnyvale community disproportionately, and I think this is a health issue, to be honest. And for that reason, I think we're not. This is not one of those things where we're going to give up. I think we are asking for the city to look into rejecting this plan or this application. So thank you, Colleen. Or actually, sorry, I think Agnes had her hand up first.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks, Himanshu. You mentioned the Food Affordability Act, and my question is, why is there an end date to it? What's the rationale behind that?
It's a grant program, Agnes. So I think this is essentially where it stands currently. That's the reason why. But I think if we have the opportunity to kind of go beyond 2031, I think we can. This is still being drafted, so there's a high likelihood that this is going to be amended dramatically by the time we actually get done with it. But we are working. The California Grocers Association is a sponsor of this bill, and we are working with them along with other folks who actually reject or opposed it last year as well to help rewrite this bill. But again, this is for future food access. It doesn't necessarily apply for existing ones. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Whoops. Keep it up. Sorry.
And Colleen?
Am I next? Thank you. At first, I was going to echo Gail's comment. This is a state law. There's not much the city can do. It's the developer that has a lot of the power here. If I can remember what else I was going to add, I will. Last time I heard this presentation, I can't remember if it was in a private meeting that Connie Versailles was in, or if it was a city meeting. At the very end, Connie added some information about other small markets in this area of town. And I wish I would have been able to remember more about that. Do you remember what I'm talking about? And there any law that goes into effect, I sympathize so much with that side of town, and I know it's inequity.
I think we
But
discussed it at the previous Dems meeting as well, and I think it's been discussed multiple times with the city as well. Is that what you mean? Sorry, I'm not following.
Yes, at the end of one of those meetings after your presentation, Connie was there and she said, but there's also this extra number. There's like more small markets in North Sunnyvale and South Sunnyvale or something. She added information that seemed pertinent to me.
No, I don't think we were in the same meeting. I don't remember her speaking. But I think that this specific image that I showed before that talks specifically about the markets that are in North and South Sunnyvale, I think this is fairly I think exhaustive to a certain extent as to what is actually here. And I think
yeah. So these are all large markets, right? 15,000 and
no,
above.
no, they're not.
Okay.
They're not.
All right. My comment is done. I have no more information to add, and so
Thanks.
But I know this is everything that happens, as we've seen everywhere lately. One thing happens and unintended consequences help somewhere else. I just feel there just doesn't seem to be an easy solution besides making more laws. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Courtney, I think you're next.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm Courtney Jansen. I live in the Fairwood neighborhood. And I know, Gail, you and I have been talking about this for probably close to 2 years at this point. And I remember, Chuck, you've helped a lot. And, we've Gail kind of echoed the thoughts and feedback that we had. But I think my question is maybe two parts. I think, has there been any conversation with the city on how to help the existing businesses find new locations if they are interested in that? And then the second part to that, I think, I can't remember if you said exempting large grocery stores or whatever is a great idea. But the other problem with both of these locations is that Sunnyvale is running out of places to build houses. And by putting townhouses in instead of some higher density, condos or apartments or whatever on it, it feels like a missed opportunity. Not just are we losing food access, but we're losing food access and not gaining a whole lot of housing for it. And so I guess those are my questions. Are there conversations on where these businesses can move to if they want to continue to exist? And is there conversations on trying to increase density in these areas and forcing, if you're going to keep a grocery store, then let's put some houses on top of it, kind of thing?
Yeah, no, those are really, really good questions and really thoughtful comments as well. Thank you. I think so. Look, I think in terms of the zoning, on July 1st, the city voted on changing zoning for these village centers to have an allocated amount of retail included. But again, for village centers that already have applications, it doesn't impact them at all, right? So these two, the Village Center 5 and 6, for instance, they have a zoning of about between 15 to 25%. The Village Center 5, the Fair Oaks Plaza, has 25% zoning included. So for some odd reason, let's just say that the application gets denied or gets rejected because of some technicality, for instance, they automatically would kick into that new zoning of 25%, right? So that's what the city has done, even though it may be something that can't be undone based on the fact that the city will not have very many options to reject the housing proposal. But one thing that did come out of it was that the Lucky's grocery store itself was saved because of this. So that was good. I think, that is part of North Sunnyvale because I think, we wanted to protect anything that didn't have any applications, and Lucky's was one of those, so which is great. But it doesn't do anything for these grocery stores or these retail businesses. In terms of having them move somewhere else, the city is looking into it, but I think the city has not done, as far as I understand, I've spoken with the grocery store owner here of Taj Mahal and others as well, and they haven't been able to find a space that's large enough or even a half of the size because the rents are so sky high that it's hard for them to be able to kind of afford that. But I think, they will have to leave most likely leave Sunnyvale to actually be able to find to be able to afford going anywhere else. But at this time, yeah, it's been difficult for a lot of the businesses, and they will lose many jobs as well.
Yeah, just one follow-up to that. I know that the likelihood of the city being able to deny any of these applications and not face a lawsuit is very, very low. But I feel like I had read somewhere that if the application gets approved and then there's like a timeline where they have to start building before the application becomes basically null. Do you happen to know any details on that?
No, that's a question that I've asked multiple times for the city. The city, I have not heard back. So it's a great thought. I think so. So either A, because of the fact that it continues to get amended, or the application doesn't get deemed complete, essentially, if you will. That's one option. And so there is a timeline for that. And I think that timeline is, I think, 1 year, maybe 2 years. I have not gotten a straight answer from the city about this. And then the second question as to once it gets approved, if it doesn't break ground, how much time will that also, I don't know. Those are really good points, though. In terms of the lawsuit, look, I think we've been given a number. We've been given several numbers around the lawsuit that the city itself is talking about. We've heard $5 to $7 million of lawsuit. We just heard from, David about the special election, which is $16 million that the city paid, right? So $7 million to me, that actually serves, more than 15,000 residents, actually more than that, for a lawsuit that potentially could be upheld based on the fact that it is impacting these communities negatively, and it is a health hazard. I think it has a way of potentially either A, dissuading the developers, or changing their plan to a certain extent to help accommodate us. So I think those are some of my thoughts, of course, and I think the city is deciding to kind of just play it safe, of course.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Martin Pyne. I just wanted to, Planning Commissioner speaking in personal capacity, I just wanted to observe that I just wanted to confirm that there is a certain amount of time required that a developer has to essentially vest the entitlements after their project is approved by either Planning Commission or City Council. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but we have had projects that come up before the commission where the developer ended up not actually building the project and the entitlements lapsed. And I know it has been told to us by staff what that time is. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah, if you find out, let me know, Martin. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Martin.
I could almost certainly dig this up. I am, however, in my car right now, so that's
no rush.
Possible.
No rush. Thank you. Okay.
So it looks like we have 3 more questions. Hopefully we can quickly go through those, and then we do need to move on to the other agenda item for the meeting. Looks like Susan.
Yes, in reference on slide number 4, it looks like that the 3 markets that are closing are all ethnic markets. Is there a way that we could stop this based on discrimination? Maybe, I don't know.
It's a good thought. I mean, we haven't thought about it. I think being able to prove it is going to be harder, I think, but I think it's a good thought. We'll look into it. I mean, this community is largely ethnic, right? Both these communities are largely ethnic. So, and not just these grocery stores, but actually a lot of the restaurants are also ethnic as well.
I go to both a lot, and I love yes.
Speedy's, Momo's, which one?
It's the one on Lawrence.
Okay, yeah, the Giovanni's Pizzeria, maybe, or okay, yeah.
And then the Taj Mahal Fresh Market one. There's there's restaurants in there, and that grocery store is just really good.
Yeah, it's got really great foods, yeah. And a couple
Yeah,
more
so
questions.
maybe we could do maybe we could tie the developers up in lawsuits enough time for their development to lapse. Or another thought would be to have them put the businesses on the bottom and put the residences on the top, like we did in downtown Sunnyvale. that turned out pretty nice.
No, I think so. That's what the zoning itself was that I was speaking about earlier, Susan, is that
Yeah.
the city has mandated the zoning, especially for the Lucky's Village Center, to less than, so right now it's 18 units, is what's required. So essentially that's gone up from 18 to, I think, 34, correct me if I'm wrong, Martin, I think the 34, 35 units, I think. So it makes it higher density. And essentially when you make it higher density, it allows for retail at the bottom. So anything that comes in that plaza now has to have that kind of configuration.
Okay.
So I think we've tried to do that here, but I think, because the applications already exist here, it's going to be hard for us to do anything about it.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just refer anybody interested to the adopted village center master plan, which I'm sure lives somewhere on the city website. I'm finding a parking spot right now, so I can't hold up myself.
Okay, Colleen. Thanks, Martin. Colleen. You're muted, Colleen, if you're speaking. Sorry.
It'd be better if you could contact me after the meeting. I put my email in chat.
Okay,
I'll
great.
follow up on this. It's just too time consuming otherwise. Thank you very much.
Thanks. I'll stop sharing.
All right. Thanks, Himanshu. We'll keep following this as the year goes on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now let's move to our main agenda item, which is just what we did last year in January. Go through and talk about priorities for the next year, what members are interested in seeing in terms of meetings. And we have a whiteboard here.
Mike, before you started the whiteboard, do you want me to run through the endorsement plan?
Exactly. Yes, I was just going to suggest that. All right. Well, yeah, go ahead, Martin. Something that plays into, unlike last year, this year, I mean, I'm guessing half of our meetings will be endorsement meetings. So there's a smaller number of general topics we can cover. But go ahead, Martin.
Okay. So the reason I've been in my car is I was just at the at the pre-endorsement conference for the state party for our state Senate seat. For those of you that have not been following the domino effect, our state senator, Aisha Wahab, Eric Swalwell, who represents parts of the East Bay, is running for governor. He's a congressman. So Aisha Wahab, our state senator, is running for his congressional seat. This means that once again, we have an open state Senate seat, and at this time, there are 4 Democratic candidates running. It's possible there will be more than that by the time we close filing, but I heard from 4 of our 4 candidates running today. So we will be having our endorsement meeting for state Senate on Saturday, March 21st, and that will be after the filing deadline. So we should have anybody and everybody who files.
And to clarify, Martin, this year we have a primary in June and, of course, the November election.
Yes. Yes. There are. I'll back all the way up and say, okay, so elections this year, we have a June primary and a November general election. On our primary ballot, there will be the following races. There will be president. There will be there will be Congress. I wish there was president. There will be Congress. That's just House of Representatives. There is, for a change, no U.S. Senate election this year. There's Assembly. There's state Senate. There are also 3 county offices. There are also the 3 county offices. There's a district attorney. There's sheriff, and once again there is assessor. So there is also one other statewide office, and that's Board of Equalization, which is the huge district that's like the entirety of the Bay Area. all of those races go to the top two well, they kind of go to a top two in June. For the state and federal offices, the top two vote getters in the primary will go on to the general election. For the county races, if somebody gets 50% over 50%, they win. Otherwise, the top two vote getters go on to the November election. So that's the June ballot. So what the plan is that on the February 28th meeting, we will have the plan is, and I'm still coordinating with the candidates. So this is a little, so for the sole endorsed, for the candidates where there's just like one candidate, we might shuffle things slightly. It makes sense from a scheduling perspective. But what I'm hoping to do is in February, we have Congress, that would be Rokana. We have Assembly, that would be Patrick Aaron's. We do State Board of Equalization. That's currently Sally Lieber's seat. There are 2 candidates I know of running for that seat. And since that's relatively light, I might try to squeeze in one or two of the county races, depending on who's running, what that's looking like from a filing perspective. On March 21st, that will be state senate and the balance of any June races that we weren't able to dispose of in February. Again, state senate, there are at least 4 candidates, so that's going to be exciting and somewhat time consuming. As always, if you want to vote in our upcoming endorsements, you need to be a member in good standing and have attended a club meeting before the endorsement meeting. So if you're listening to this and you're paid up, you're probably good. But if you know of other people that are not likely to be members in good standing for those, you should poke them and tell them to get their dues in and attend meetings and etc. I know that endorsements frequently bring in new members from people that want to vote in the endorsements. So, if you're really into that state senate race, you probably need to show up to at least the February meeting and have your dues in. Hint, hint. So that's the June ballot. For November, we get, again, anything that has to be resolved off the June ballot. We will also have all of the local races. So for Sunnyvale City Council, that will be districts 1, 3, and 5. For there will be Fremont Union High School trustee areas. There will be Sunnyvale School District. There will at least potentially be Sunnyvale School District trustee areas. I know those races are frequently uncontested, but we'll see. There will be Santa Clara. There's Santa Clara Unified Union School District. There is basically every, I'm not going to go down the full list of school board and special district races, but because we would spend all of our time, we would spend so much time on endorsement meetings if all of them were contested, but in all likelihood, not all of them will actually end up on the ballot. So how we've usually done it in the past is we do the city council races in June, and then we do the balance of the races in August and September. That's the rough plan going forward. It will vary depending on how contested any of the races are. There are also likely to be various local ballot measures of interest. The Sunnyvale Charter Review Committee report will be going to City Council in February, and at that time, or going forward, the City Council will likely take action to put ballot measures based on the Charter Review Committee's recommendations. And I don't know how long that will take to do, but in terms of process, but we will likely want to consider endorsing those measures as well. There's may or may not be other local ballot measures that I'm not yet aware of. There's also, and there'll also be a regional transportation measure, I believe. So that's what it looks like. That's kind of the big picture view. I've been mostly focused on the exciting contested races that are like right in front of us, but there will be plenty of other action coming later in the year.
All right, thanks, Martin. That's a great summary. And so if we don't tackle any of the topics we're going to talk about, we'll probably have a full plate. But let's go ahead and let me get this whiteboard. So we did this last year.
Actually, if you hold on, I actually have one of your state senate candidates here right now. So if you want to give him a bit of time to speak to the club, I know
Sure,
it's something we usually give candidates.
Go ahead, Harris, just to introduce yourself.
Hey there, I just want to introduce myself to you all to the Sunnyvale Democratic Club. My name is Harris Mojadidi. I serve as a trustee on the Chabot Las Positas Community College District. That is the community college district in Hayward and in Union City. I'm the child of refugees from Afghanistan, born and raised in this district. A proud San Jose State Spartan, and I currently work at UC Berkeley as an assistant dean. And I've served our party on local Dem clubs, as well as currently serving as the state chair of the AAPI caucus. I won't take up too much more of your time, except to let you know that I know that Sunnyvale will have its fourth state senator at the end of this year. You started this decade off with Senator Jerry Hill. Josh Becker, redistricting happened, and you've had Senator Wahab. And I want to let you know that this is a very diverse district. It's probably a 45-minute drive from Union City down to Sunnyvale. But I want to let you know that every single one of these communities is important to me. And in this primary election, I want to let you know that I'm committed to learning about Sunnyvale, learning about what your priorities are. I have so much respect for local Dem clubs. It's how I got my start. And you all do such important work of building our pipeline, of holding our elected officials accountable. And so over the next few months, I'd love the opportunity to meet with you all, to attend meetings. I'm going to sign up to be a member, and you have my commitment, should I be elected, that, I will spend time in Sunnyvale. You can expect me to be a member of this club. And with that, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you so much for your time today. And I'll put my contact information in the chat before I head out. Bye-bye.
Great, thanks, Harris. And we'll see you, I presume, in March for our endorsement meeting. Okay, so let me okay. All right, so it's always a crapshoot here with Zoom. Can anybody or everybody see this whiteboard? Okay, all right. It's a miracle. So we did this last year, and by posting, which I believe anybody here should be able to do, posting different ideas that we want to, issues we want to focus on for the next year. But we can also verbally introduce ideas and, suggest why it's important. I mean, this is, so what I have put on here as a starter are the kind of the summarized topics from last year, presuming that most of them are still relevant this year, but priorities might have changed. And you'll notice Greenland is not on here, or neither Venezuela or God knows what's been happening while we're in this meeting. I have no idea. So, we'll definitely have to be on our toes here, and as the year goes on, and respond to events in front of us. So again, feel free to just start putting ideas in there. You should be able to to just put text in or put a post-it note. We don't have we have a lot of colors there, but haven't assigned any meaning to those. So you can just go
Okay,
by.
so it might be better, Mike, if you can, if everybody could either use text or post-its, or whatever, so we can read them and they're clustered. If I'm understanding what you're asking for.
Right, right.
And so the sticky note, you could either grab from the right side, or you could click the little turn up sticky note in the middle of the pane that's on the left. The text is the T, of course, if you do want to do that. But all the posties we can enlarge and make smaller, and so just a thought for organizing.
I'm guessing that the different sticky note colors mean different things. I cannot read them. They're very tiny. So could you explain what the different colors?
Okay,
Yellow
so the colors, we have not assigned any meaning to any of the colors. The
Okay.
titles are just up in yellow.
Okay.
However, you can see that somebody has put in local organizing. The thing is, if you grab a Post-it note, you can adjust the size and make it smaller or larger. So you can put it in and then put your note on it and then reduce the size to put it under your topic.
So these are just topics that we're picking. Is that right, Tara? So are we like voting for these, or like I'm just trying to understand.
I'm not quite sure what Mike was asking for, whether it was topics under the topics or in addition to, or comments about.
Yeah, these aren't necessarily intended to be headings, although they look that way. But since last they pretty much covered the breadth of ideas. If you have one that fits under with one of these, it's more a question of grouping them than it'll make it easier to follow.
Okay, then what I would suggest is you use a different color for added topics. So I would use either the green or the orange to clearly differentiate between what you put up there and what is being added, because you already have on your list the stuff that's up there.
And you could raise your hand and verbally also advocate for some particular issue that might be of interest.
So how do I get a yellow sticky over and type it in? Everything I press just says add your reply or add someone.
Okay, so you can you can click on the yellow sticky over on the right, or you can click on the little turned up corner for a sticky note that's on the left. And that will give you sticky notes. You can choose a color and then put it on and write your notes and then attach that.
You can also duplicate a sticky note if you want.
Yes, you can. You sure can.
And then retype it, whatever you want.
You can also put your text in the chat and I'll put it onto a note.
There you go. Super help.
You want us to put our name or initials on them if we add something?
I don't think so.
Sorry, was that a yes or no?
No. You can if you want.
If you say, come to my house for lunch. How much time do you want to give this, Mike?
Well, I think we hopefully we can have an ongoing. We don't have another agenda item for this meeting, so I think we can certainly discuss these as they go up and talk about why they might be important. I mean, combating misinformation, for example, is a is a chronic problem that we are fighting much more than we've been
Yes.
talking about this for 8 years or more, and it just gets worse and worse. Just blatant lies all the time now. Not shading the truth, but just bold-faced lies. Certainly, we'll continue to follow protests as they occur, and I'm sure they're going to be occurring all through the year.
Yeah, hopefully bigger and better with each one.
Yeah,
Holy cow, what has happened in Minnesota is horrifying.
unbelievable.
I just heard there's a call for all faith leaders to join in the protest there. There's somebody found the emojis. A little smiley face.
And, in terms of the elections, sometimes the school boards elections are, not hotly contested, but we have also seen that nationwide that MAGA and Moms for Liberty are putting in candidates, sometimes stealth candidates,
Yes.
in for school board because people don't pay attention to them, and trying to slip them through the electorates. And so we definitely, last time we had some of those, and we made some effort and ran ads to educate the public that that's who they were voting for. So we'll see if that happens again. And
I'm pretty sure you can count on that happening
I'm pretty sure you're
again.
right.
Yep.
I remember going through the hearing about that and Googling all the candidates for the education. And man, it was crazy. They're like, oh, we're all for this great education in STEM and tech. And you click on it and it's like ban all books. It was crazy.
I am having a difficult time and I use these frequently.
We're going to need to encourage making absolute social pariahs out of the people who are working to destroy the country. We need to stop being polite about it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we're playing with all these paperwork and lawsuits and stuff and going, by the book. No, we got to stop it. I agree with you, Max.
That especially, it has to be that there may be social consequences, that people find out that they're being shunned because they're embracing these toxic viewpoints, that it's not political disagreement when you deny the humanity of your neighbors.
Right. It's not like, exactly, it goes to human decency.
Yeah.
So yeah, you give me a list and I'll start shaming.
That it is fine to disagree over tax policy, but it is not fine to disagree over whether your neighbors deserve equal rights.
Exactly. I totally agree. I think everybody here agrees with you.
But we need to stop being so polite about it like we have in previous generations, because we need to recognize that these are not the disagreements of previous generations. So we need to be willing to say, nope, I cannot have someone toxic like you in my social circles.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of people, but good riddance.
Do we have anyone in the club who is in an AFL-CIO union?
No, but we have a fellow who's in the he's in an airline union. So would that be close enough?
Well, when people are organizing general strikes, you need to get the AFL-CIO on board. I'm in CWA, but that's not the same. But we really should make sure that we have someone who, if the AFL-CIO are saying, we need to organize for a general strike, I would like people in the club to be able to be ready to step up. That if I need to start stockpiling beans and rice in airtight containers in my garage because we're going in for a long general strike, I want to know how to do that.
What industries do they support? I might know somebody.
Many industries.
Many, yeah.
They're big, very big.
I'm looking them up online and they're not saying like pipe fitters or school teachers
No,
or
no.
nurses or. All right. Thank you.
The AFL-CIO are the ones backing a general strike that's slated in Minnesota for next week. Because people often talk about general strike as a way to put pressure on the people who hold the purses. But general strikes are very challenging to organize. They are not something you do with a grassroots petition. You need serious organizing people on the ground for that, and that's why you need unions.
There we go.
Hi, Mike. This is Gail.
Hi, Gail.
I can't figure out how to do this, but there's two bills that are really important right now in the California Senate. One is SB 722, which is the I call it the exemption bill for SB 79, and that's going to exclude mobile home parks from SB 79. And then the other thing we need to start paying attention to is Scott Wiener's bill, SB 677, which is a fix-it bill for SB 79. And I think we need to get involved in that, especially if we want retail, because I don't think SB 79 has any provisions for building dense housing and adding retail to it. So I think we should get on the bandwagon on figuring out how to work with SB 677.
Yeah, I'm wondering how active both Senator Wahab and Scott Wiener will be this year in pushing these bills, considering they're both running for Congress.
I don't think you should worry about that because of their staff. It'll be the staff that does it.
I had a thought on the exemption bill. I was wondering if Patrick had any favors he could call in from other districts that don't have mobile homes, that he could say, hey, I voted for you on this bill. Could you vote with me on this bill? And if so, how would we go about finding those people? Because I do think it's important that we get representatives that don't have mobile homes on board with us.
The truth of the matter is, the way Senator Wahab positioned this bill, with Senator Wiener sort of attached at the hip, is they're positioning it as an oversight. That because affordable housing is exempt in SB 79 and mobile home parks are considered a naturally occurring affordable housing alternative, they're not getting any pushback. At this point, there is no opposition to SB 722.
Okay.
And it's gone through, I'll just give you a little update here. It's gone through two committees. The Housing Committee voted unanimously 10-0. That was on January 6th. January 14th, it went to the Local Government Committee, and it passed there 7-0. Again, no opposition. And it's going to the Judiciary Committee on the 20th, which is this week. And then it's due for a floor vote on January 31st. It'll then move over to the Assembly, and Patrick is going to be the flag bearer for it. So keep in touch.
Wow, that's some good news. Thanks, Gail.
Yeah, it'll pass. I think it's going to pass with not much opposition because, one, there's no opposition. So the only naturally occurring opposition to mobile homes is the Western Manufactured Home Association, and they're neutral. And
Oh,
because it's positioned as an oversight, because it is affordable housing.
right.
So because of that, there's very little opposition to it.
Oh, thank you. That's some good news I needed to hear.
Can you provide some information about that, about the two bills you talked about, Gail? Maybe some kind of links or something like that you recommend us following?
Yeah, let me talk to Mike because we can do I can do a little I can work with Ambrosia on sending something to club members.
Great, thanks.
But working on Wiener's bill is very important because there's no retail in that. And that affects 8 counties.
So there again, my question stands. Is there a favor that he has done somebody else that we could call in to support this?
Well, that one is the problem with this 677.
Yeah.
There's a line out the door on changes to it. Okay. So that it's probably going to be, I'm not sure it can become a 2-year bill because this is the second year of an of a legislator session. I'm not sure on that. Martin would know that. But
okay,
it's going to go really slow. There's so many changes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Susan again. While everybody's thinking, I wanted to bring up again Ro Khanna's endorsement of Steyer. It has since been proven that yes, he is in fact supporting this guy. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that. My first reaction was, hell no. I do not want another billionaire anywhere near the office. But I'd like to hear everybody else's thoughts on that, if it's appropriate.
My question is, what are the alternatives? Yes, in general, billionaires need to be taxed back down into about a deck of millionaires. And they're probably not going to do that without immense pressure.
Well, the alternatives are Katie Porter and Swalwell.
I would love to see Porter as governor, but does she have enough support?
I don't think so. I would love to see her too, but I don't know that she could do there. But Swalwell's pretty good. I like him.
One comment on Tom Steyer is he wants billionaires to be taxed. So having a billionaire himself say, yes, tax me, that says something. So
yeah, that does. But still, I don't know.
I would
It is
also say that
surprising. Go ahead.
he has been a huge supporter of all the democratic processes and all of the pauses. And he's been behind a lot of the money that has pushed things that we want forward.
I thought he was on board for recalling our current governor, and I'm mind blanking on his name. I thought he was trying to recall Newsom. Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I will say I've met the man. He's been a long time big supporter of democratic causes and things. I did want to also say if you go to Fast Democracy, that will give you a website or a link that will give you all the bills that are in process.
Okay. Thank you.
And to chime in on the recall effort, when the recall was underway, he was thinking of throwing his hat in as a possible candidate, but then he ended up opposing the recall.
Oh, okay, that's right. I knew it. Okay, thank you.
While we're going through this, I didn't do it earlier, but it's a opportunity to acknowledge the elected officials here. And I see we have Council Member Charles E. Chang. We have Mountain View Mayor Emily and Ramos, newly appointed mayor. We have Peggy Shen Brewster on the Sunnyvale School Board. Just going down the list here. Did I miss anybody? We have a number of commissioners, but so I just wanted to acknowledge that. The unions, definitely the Democratic Party works very closely, particularly, the local county, with the various unions. I would say we work closely together there. But that's not the same as what may happen on a national level. And Moffett Park update. So I guess that means we'd be interested in hearing about what's going on in Moffett Park.
Yeah, Mike, this is Ambrosia. That was me actually, because I heard something recently and it wasn't about Moffett Park directly, but it made me wonder like, whoa, are we not doing, is it not happening how we thought it was going to happen? And I know a lot of, I was at the last school board meeting for Sunnyvale and they had their demography report. And if we don't have these thousands of folks moving in, it really does change a lot of our planning for the schools, for the city, etc.
Could you give a brief background on that statement, please?
Well, I'm not necessarily on the Moffett Park possibilities. But there was. What exactly, Susan?
What was the issue?
Well, so the idea is, Mike, feel free to jump in, but the idea is that I don't know who it was, Google, these developers were like, we're going to build up Moffett Park and we're going to have places where you can live near where you work. Maybe we're going to put in a school. And there's some plans out there. Some land was going to be given to the Sunnyvale school districts. So I'm just wondering, is it happening?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Right. Without going into a lot of detail, this city, they spent quite a bit of time revising the Moffett Park specific plan, which is a big, only industrial area right now, and allowing zoning for housing and mixed use and a number of other things. So that was approved. So developers can certainly build there, but in the meantime, some things happened like work from home, which reduced the need for commercial real estate, and then interest rates went up, which reduced the viability of a lot of development projects, and so on. So I think that has not moved ahead as quickly as we would like, but recently there was a commercial development, meaning a business office development that was approved. There's also a housing development that was approved and then withdrawn, and I think may have come back and been reapproved. So affordable housing off of Java. So some things are moving along, but this happens every time we see the economy move up and down. And right now, nobody knows what to think, right? So I think it's suppressing a lot of new development initiatives.
Google was really excited about doing that community development in that part of Moffett, as well as downtown San Jose, but that's all paused apparently right now. Google has done an amazing job of having bike infrastructure put out.
Yeah.
Really amazing what's happening.
Yes.
It's beautiful over there. In fact, if they do the development, I may move there. It really is lovely.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, mental health is something we flagged in the past, but I don't think we've spent too much time on it in meetings, and maybe that's worth revisiting. I think that recently at the federal level, they cut a lot of the funding for mental health, but then had to restore it. So again, we have a landscape that's changing almost daily for reasons that generally don't make sense. Like I think we just slapped a 10% tariff on parts of Europe because they aren't agreeing to give up Greenland. I mean, none of this makes sense.
It makes perfect sense if you understand that the president thinks he's a mafioso.
And we don't need it for security. We've been there for 30 years. I worked with people who worked at Thule, who were monitoring satellites in Thule.
Yeah, I
So
think
we've
he
been
wants
there.
Greenland, though. I think he wants to wipe out the ice sheets and get to the minerals that are underneath.
Exactly. And I think that's what the whole fight is about, is that now that with the polar cap melting, all these roots are up there now. It's sickening. Sorry, I have to go cry now.
Yeah, we don't seem to, maybe I'll add it, but we don't, well, it's a broader issue, but I don't see artificial intelligence reflected here, which is having a huge impact on
Yes,
so many
I did.
areas.
It's under, I may be in the wrong spot, combating cynicism and extremism in media, social media, but feel free and reword that if it's not right.
It's there. It's been reacted to.
Okay, great, yeah. Good.
It's in everything, so it should be amended to every single one of these stickies. Oh, and AI as well, because it's
Yeah.
impacting everything.
Right, and definitely the work landscape too, and employment.
I had another thought. With the runoff between Nissa and the other fella, and I got to thinking, it is like, why are we letting a candidate even run, when they don't have the qualifications for the office in the first place? For example, Rob Bonta is the attorney general, and he has to be an attorney to have that, or I think so. Why would anybody be even allowed to run if you're not an attorney? And I was just wondering if we could maybe, I don't know, fix that. Say that if certain offices you don't need, don't require a certification, but certain things like maybe school board member, you have to be a teacher. Maybe we need to put a law that says you have to prove your credentials that you are a good standing member as a teacher to run for this election. Or in Nisa's case, you have to be a certified accountant or whatever her certification is to even run. I mean, why was this guy even let in the field in the first place?
Yeah, you don't have to have you can get the qualifications after you take the office, so that's not specifically a requirement. You could certainly argue that some level of competence is desired, but it's usually not a requirement for running for office.
Is that for like
running, but to execute in that office, it is required.
Right.
Would that be the same thing for like the attorney general?
I'm
mean,
not
if it's
sure
like
about the attorney general, but school board members do not have to be teachers, right?
You do not have to be a teacher, be a school board member. It's just we prefer to have teachers often because they know education really well. And Sunnyvale School District passed a resolution in support of having more educators, teachers, or people that work on campuses on our school board, and we're able to compensate them for that. And so that's something we proactively passed recently, because we would like to encourage more educators and people that are directly supporting students on our school board. We believe that we help make good decisions about student welfare and education if they have that specific lens.
Okay, thank you. It just seems kind of ridiculous that somebody who is just not qualified can get in there. But I guess we're all wondering the same things on many levels.
Including the presidency.
Well,
on that topic, I think I read somewhere that other counties do not elect their assessors the same way. I'm not sure. Anybody else remember that?
I don't know. This is my first major engagement in this, so
yeah.
But I did like her. As soon as I talked to her, I knew she was extremely intelligent and competent, and she had my vote right away. So I'm really happy that she won. And my fear with the rank voting was that could she have lost if we'd had rank voting? And that's what I'm
yeah. I would like to reply to that. I think so many people knew that her opponent was not up to par, that I don't think enough people would have put him at second place. I don't think that would have happened in this election.
He got 32%. She got 36% in the first vote. That's why they had the runoff, though. It was that was scary.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're right.
He was close.
He was close, but the third place was
far away.
Yan Zhao. Her voters would undoubtedly have gone to Nisa. Yeah, I mean, that's what happened
apparently in the final.
That seems to be what happened in the end. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it turned out the way it is, the way it did.
And Sandy?
I was just going to comment, you got to be really careful about adding extra professional requirements for elected office, because that gets very close to, that's the point of elections, is people can choose who they want, and it's ripe for abuse, let's just say.
Yeah, it's ripe for abuse I see that.
Oh, and just to update, Ray Nasa versus Rishi Kumar, she was actually pretty far ahead. She was almost at 38%. Rishi Kumar was at 24% for the first election. And then it was like no, it was, he was second, but he was a distant second. And Yang Zhao.
Where did I get? Where did I get the 36 and 32?
I don't know. If you look at county election results on their registrar, it wasn't that close.
All right, I stand corrected then. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. It's important to remember that when the Constitution of the state of California was written, I think very shortly after that, the legislature passed stuff that said that you do not have to go to law school to be a lawyer in the state of California, and that still holds. You can take the test whenever you want, and a lot of people do pass the exam, the bar exam in California, without going to law school. So I think putting prerequisites is a dangerous slope.
Well, if you pass the bar, then you are a lawyer and you're legal to practice, right? I mean, if I took the bar tomorrow and passed it, I would be legally able to practice law.
Yes, but you haven't gone to law school, and in law school you learn a lot of stuff other than the laws. You learn, professional ethics, how to argue a case, how to write briefs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I see your point, Gail. I do. I also see, I think it was Sandy's point on how if we keep putting limitations on candidates, that we run into a slippery slope and it's ripe for abuse. Okay, thank you. Very, very good conversation. I appreciate it all.
I don't know how many of you have served on a jury, but it's the most amazing, eye-opening experience when you get people from all walks of life focusing on one particular issue, and it doesn't matter how much education anyone has in that room on how the deliberations are taking place. And I think that's the beauty of democracy, is that just getting a whole bunch of people in a room making decisions really works.
I had the opposite experience, Gail. I was on a 4-count child abuse case, and they were like, let's just be hung. I have to go home. I don't want to argue anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just be hung and go home. And it was just incredibly disappointing and distressing to me that nobody wanted to finish doing the knit grunt work going through the case on a couple of charges. They're like, they just didn't want to do it. They wanted to go home. So, but yeah, some roundtable discussions like what we're having now, I think is really good. And I'm almost coming around to maybe even thinking about voting for Tom Steyer, but I'm not quite sure. But, you know, and then changing my opinion about having, you know, specific qualifications for, you know, like the Attorney General or for county assessor. So it's good to have other people to bounce ideas off of. And I really appreciate it. Thank you for indulging me.
Well, some of these from last year, maybe, so like, is there much interest in hearing from ACLU?
Yes.
Okay. Is anybody here a member of ACLU?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. Isn't everybody? Come on.
Didn't we want their help in organizing a huge, major, massive walkout? I think, I forget the name of the person, but I think somebody mentioned that here.
ACLU?
That's the AFL-CIO. The ACLU
sorry.
is the American Civil Liberties Union, who stand up for people's rights, except when they're having a dispute with their own union.
Sorry, I got my acronyms mixed up. Excuse me.
And immigration, most of the comments refer to ICE. Which is immigration enforcement.
Well, they're currently being used as a Gestapo.
Exactly. Yes, very much so.
And I think
go ahead.
We really need to pressure federal gems to take on abolish ICE as a mainstream position, because an organization that is just that thoroughly screwed up is not something that can be reformed. It has to be dissolved and the responsibility is transferred elsewhere.
I'll yes and you on that. How about we abolish Homeland Security and go back to our structure that we had in 2000, I guess it was 2001, I believe, when Homeland Security was created.
Yeah, pre 9/11.
As a thing, post 9/11, as a thing. We didn't have to have it. We still don't have to have it.
Yeah, I agree.
Going forward, though, should we maybe consider an outreach for like what you should do, know your rights, maybe somebody who to call, something of that nature? I think I have a card in my wallet that you know, gives you like a few certain things that you need to do or don't do. I picked it up at Aaron's barbecue.
Well, you know about the Rapid Response Network, right?
It might be that, yeah.
There's a whole network that's been around since the first Trump administration, at least, and they're holding regular trainings. There's 2 more sessions this coming week, I think. I wonder if somebody has the link to that they could drop into the chat.
What's the name of the group again? Rapid Response
Network. Look at the chat. I put a link in.
Oh, excellent. That's perfect.
And the Amigos de Guadalupe Center is on Benevity. If you are at a tech job, you can get matching for your employer on donating to them.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, this is Peggy. I wonder if we might be able to use the Dems Club to mobilize our community, specifically to get our kids to and from school. If that need arises, just having observers and helpers and people.
I'll volunteer.
Around.
I have nothing to do. I'm retired. I'm free.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely, Peggy. We would, I'm sure we would support that. And yeah, we should have a meeting focusing on that if we haven't. That's a good point. I know Livable Sunnyvale had a meeting on that subject. It was one of our most heavily attended meetings about the rapid response network and you know, your rights. Um,
Yeah, we're very strong with our new superintendent in protections of our immigrant communities and making sure that our schools are safe havens. And in fact, we have a letter. He does a weekly letter, but I'd like to share the one that he's sending out tomorrow after it's sent out, just to get a sense of where the school district is and you know, to be able to mobilize if necessary. It's a very tenuous and scary time.
So
yeah.
you said you're going to send out the email that you got to all of us?
I'll send it after it's public. Yeah, I can send it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something we should certainly focus on, especially if we get a stronger ICE presence here in our area. We also have, you know, recently, there's so many announcements coming out of DC, but they are cutting funding for quote unquote sanctuary cities, which, you know, could certainly impact us here. I mentioned that to Otto Lee, our president of the Board of Supervisors last week, I guess, um, or this week, I guess. And you know, he said that's why we're suing. So they're suing to stop that, but um, hard to say what the outcome of that might be.
Yeah. Meanwhile, if there are more mutual aid networks than just giving to Sunnyvale Community Services, it'd be good to know if anyone's doing work beyond that. But Sunnyvale Community Services is a good place to contribute to help your neighbors.
Yeah, definitely. There are other organizations. I mean, the city contracts with We Hope, Helping Hands, which Himanshu volunteers with. We were there today at the library, every Saturday at the library, handing out food to the unhoused. So there are a number of organizations, but Sunnyvale Community Services is definitely, you know, in terms of the numbers and the dollars spent is a big player in this. And you know, the city is working on a master homelessness strategy, which if you ask about this 3 years ago or whatever, we always would hear that it's the county's problem, not the city's problem. But you know, it's become so pervasive. The city is taking a role. Had recently had a presentation of a draft plan for homelessness programs, and going forward, there's going to be, you know, over the next few months, they are planning outreach meetings, and they're going to put together a more robust plan for addressing homelessness in our community.
Thanks, Mike. I think one more thing I think I do want to mention about is the fact that I think, you know, a lot of the folks are not just unhoused that we're helping with meals, or also underhoused, or folks who are scared of ICE. So there's also distribution of meals that we're also doing for those families and individuals who can't come out because they're super scared of actually even being out in the open, especially in a public space. So, you know, I think the Rapid Response Network is one idea, but I think, you know, getting those folks help would be amazing. I think essentially understanding what resources they have to be able to kind of pick up these meals for them, for their families, and actually be able to find work.
Yeah, thanks. And I see safe parking is on here, which is important. At the last count of the homeless population, I think 70 some percent were living in vehicles. So that's another area where the city has put together a preliminary plan, but that hasn't for safe parking in our city. Other surrounding cities, Mountain View, for example, has been much more, even Cupertino, have been much more proactive in terms of addressing that.
Yeah, I think the city of Sunnyvale has relied, at least as far as I understand, to get private folks to actually donate their land or, essentially get some money back for their land, whilst having the opportunity to be able to kind of lend out city-owned land, right? So I think this is essentially where the city needs to be a bit more proactive about looking at their own land and understanding what can essentially be used for safe parking, and that has not been done. And I think that's essentially where we do need, that to be enforced. Otherwise, they're just going to just continue to wash their hands of this problem, right? And this is not something that can continue.
Yeah, so the city did, put in place two programs for safe parking. One was smaller scale for faith-based organizations or something to house a few safe parking vehicles on their lot, and the city offered, I think, $100,000 as, I believe, a one-time fee to support getting that started. And the other part of it was the city would find public or private land that was available for a larger sanctioned encampment and not encampment, but a parking for vehicle dwellers. And you can see if you go down Evelyn, there's a big park maintained. It's in Mountain View, and they have talked to the city, and they're saying people would be willing to work with the city of Sunnyvale. But we recently talked to the city about this, and they said they looked and they checked our city, and there's no land. So
that is not true. That is absolutely not true. I think there is land. I think we do need to kind of ask the city to look harder, because even if it is a small, so the Matilda overpass on Evelyn is one of those areas where there is an opportunity for the city to put safe parking. They just haven't done it. So I think,
Right. Right.
so.
Well, and they are looking for that. That was specifically mentioned, and they're continuing to look for it. And I mean, I don't want to minimize how difficult it is sometimes, but and the city doesn't own that much land themselves, but there are, particularly in Moffett Park right now, there's some areas that are not especially in use, but I know you always get a pushback from owners and developers about the insurance and the logistics and so on. So, yeah, it's something other cities have managed to come up with solutions, and hopefully, particularly if there's community interest, we want to, hopefully we can move that along. So I see we've actually gone over time. Thank you all. We'll take this like we did last year and summarize the results of this and use that as a guide going forward. Are there any other announcements or anything we missed before we end the meeting? I want to thank everybody for their participation. It's been great. Again, our next meeting is February 28th. It's a week later than usual because of a conflict with a Democratic state convention. So it's February 28th, but it will be in person at the El Dorado Clubhouse. And
one thing, Mike, was also Pancakes and Policy with Patrick Aarons is coming up, I think.
Yeah, next week.
Next
right.
week. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Also, if anybody needs help, let me know. With the spreadsheets. So let me know if you need any help.
Okay.
Showing up, passing out food, or standing up for kids, or doing any kind of work or anything. Let me know.
And I'm about to head out my bike to get signatures for Rokana. So text me, email me, and I'll drop by your house on my bike with the petition to sign.
Safe, Tim. It's crazy out there.
Oh, easy for me. I bike everywhere. I don't have a car, so no option.
we got our bikeway on Tasman.
Yes.
When do they start? Do you know when they break ground?
Not scheduled. It's got to get funding. So.
Oh, of course. All right. Have fun.
All right.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.